Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rawat. Stay with us as we get you the latest on the farmers' protests. Also, several Twitter accounts were blocked. We'll get you all the details there and a look at the budget. Let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking. Farmers protesting against the centre's 3 farm laws have called for a countrywide Chakka Jam protest on Saturday. From noon to 3 p.m, they plan to block highways. From makeshift cement walls to concertina wires and buses, the Delhi police take several measures around protest sites to restrict movement, lead to outrage. In the first budget amid the pandemic, the finance minister focuses on health, farmers and polls, some relief for senior citizens above 75 years. The finance minister proposes more than doubling the healthcare spending to 2.2 lakh crore. Out of this, 35,000 crores allocated for developing COVID vaccines. The government has announced infrastructure projects in states like Bengal and Assam, where polls are due by May. Mamata Banerjee says, "We don't want your road, we'll build our own." Hours after Twitter blocked around 250 accounts for tweeting or retweeting a hashtag referring to a farmer genocide, the social media giant began unlocking some of them. Twitter said its action was in response to a legal demand. Our top story now, barely a week after the violence in the national capital on India's 72nd Republic Day, a section of protesting farmers on Monday gave a call for a nationwide agitation on February 6th. Now, this comes even as thousands of farmers are protesting against the 3 contentious farm laws at the borders of Delhi for more than 2 months now. Meanwhile, at the 3 main protest sites of Singhu, Ghazipur and Tikri, the Delhi police took several steps to restrict the movement of protesters. As you can see there, concertina wires sandwiched between 4 layers of yellow barricades, low cement walls, buses and trucks parked crisscross fashion, and even nails put into the roads at the Tikri border to stop any kind of movement. Road blockages have also caused major traffic jams in parts of Delhi.
Rows and rows of police, of barricades and barbed wire, concrete barriers being constructed, nails embedded in roads, police armed with weapons to counter swords. Shocking visuals from the borders of India's capital, where the police are trying to block farmers from entering Delhi again after the events of 26th January. In doing so, the cops replicating scenes from India's conflict zones. This footage, released by Delhi police sources, shows cops holding sword-like weapons made of metal, fortification against any sword attacks on cops by protesters, sources say. More draconian measures on the borders for the 3rd straight day. Internet remained shut. Even as the finance minister presented most crucial budget in recent times in the backdrop of the crippling COVID pandemic.
बहुत ज़्यादा समस्या हो रही है सर। कुछ भी टीवी पे कुछ भी मैसेज नहीं कर सकते, कुछ भी देख नहीं सकते, कोई भी खबर।
कट गए हैं आप लोग।
हाँ।
The government is bringing in more extreme and new measures to intensify the fortifications at the protest sites outside the national capital. Thousands of farmers are joining the agitation, making the protest stronger by each and every passing day.
At the Singhu border, thousands of farmers continued to arrive for protests, more from Haryana and West UP, unlike a week ago when this border mostly had farmers from Punjab.
गांव लुवारी जी, तहसील बड़ौत, जिला बागपत। तो यहाँ पर आए सिंघू बॉर्डर पर।
हाँ, किसानों के हक में।
किसानों के हक में आए हैं।
हाँ जी।
और कब तक रहेंगे?
बहुत काफी दिन तक। जब तक धरना रहेगा, जब तक रहेंगे।
क्या भावना हुई कि आप लोग आ गए यहाँ पर बड़ौत से चल?
भावना है ये किसानों के लिए बहुत गलत हो रहा काम। किसानों के लिए बहुत गलत काम हो रहा। किसान मरिया पड़िया, बच पाओगा इस हालत में किसान।
With Saurabh Shukla and Akshay Dongre in New Delhi, Rohit Wellington for NDTV.
Well, to talk more about the farmer protests, these measures taken by the Delhi police and their plans, we're joined by Avik Saha, National Convener of the Jai Kisan Andolan, and Prakash Chandra Sharma, National Vice President of the BJP Kisan Morcha. Avik Saha, first to you. First, let's talk about these measures that have been taken in Delhi. And, you know, it's led to a lot of anger. A lot of people have questioned the measure, but many have also said this is because of what happened on the 26th of January, that now you need these kind of, you know, cement blockades, nails, even, barbed wires being put up.
I think the government is tackling farmers' mobilization. They're gathering in great numbers by mobilization. So, in a way, an elected government of India is at war with its citizens. It's a very strange sight to see. So far as the farmers' organizations are concerned, we have decided that peace and continuous peace is our way forward. We actually believe that the government will soon see sense and will not try to win this disagreement with the farmers through force. Let's hope that's what happens. So far as the farmers are concerned, peaceful civil disobedience will continue, and we believe that sooner or later there will be an engagement with the government to come to a solution on this problem.
All right, we'll get to the engagement in just a moment. But Prakash Chandra Sharma, your reaction to these measures that have been taken by the Delhi police at all the three protest sites, at Ghazipur, Singhu and at Tikri, putting up all these cement barricades and the barbed wires as well?
Gargi, see, if you have to see the present scenario, what happening around the borders, we have to go to the past. We have to go how this, the farmer agitation and so-called the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha did with the government and with the Delhi police. Delhi is the population more around 2 crore people, and they have their own civilian rights. So what about their rights? And what they just made agree on the 36 points, they have not achieved any single one, and they violated it, and in the resulting, what happened, all the nation got shamed on the tricolor and all the incident. Apart from that, it's like we can't control the democracy with this the bhir kind of things. Just gathering the people, like agitation to be there, it's okay. Dharna Pradharshan to be there, it's okay. But we have to be law abide. Mr. Avik is saying, the very same full condition is there. He is saying the war against the citizen. How you can say about, like the government is patientfully, the Delhi police is patientfully tackling all the issue. We have seen it. Like they have not fired. Rather, more than 300 police people got injured. What happened? The visuals are there. Then also, if you can't realize the things, if you can't see the things, and you have only perception just to make the anarchy, just to develop the anarchy, like the nation is really same on you, Mr. Avik.
Right. So you're saying it's justified, these kind of measures that the Delhi police is taking, to stop any future sort of farmer protest or movement into Delhi?
Very much. See, what happened, we have seen it, because like they don't have the particular leader. They have a different kind of leader, and the day they have just, forcefully they have just targeted to achieve the tractor rally. It was a very big conspiracy by them, and no control was there. No hold was there. They are just calling the people, they are misguiding them. They are not in a position to see it's a matter is there. Yesterday budget also we have seen what happened on particular farmers bill. What happened, what is the commitment of the government. Like if you don't believe on that commitments, if you just verdict is there just to achieve something that is in your mind, so that rigidness will not be accepted.
All right, Avik Saha, your response to that, the fact that, on the 26th of January, it was clear that the farmer leaders, those who were engaging with the government, did not have control over, all the protesters. And then we saw what happened at the Red Fort. And because of this, now such measures are being taken.
The government is very well aware that the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, I don't know why Mr. Sharma called it so-called Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, but I suppose that's a measure of, verbal abuse and discrediting your opponent, but it's all right. The government is aware that this is a conglomeration of 500 organizations. 95% of all parades on Republic Day took place exactly as per the plan, completely peacefully. That narrative the government is silent on. And Mr. Sharma doesn't want bheer. So, in a democracy, unless Mr. Sharma is pushing the country towards monarchy, bheer is the rule of law. You listen to people because they are healed. And on the comparative 2 crore Delhi versus 70 crore farmer, we are not battling the people of Delhi. The government of India has chosen not to engage with the farmers. The government of India has become very irascible and is arrogant and not in a mood to understand the point of view of farmers. In such circumstances, farmers sitting at a place doing dharna is very much part of the democratic culture of this country. Mr. Sharma is sitting in independent India because such dharnas took place, such blockades took place, such fasts took place. So if he doesn't like the way India is and the way...
I'll just come to you. I want to ask about the plans going forward on the 6th of February. Now this Chakka Jam has been announced.
Chakka Jam has been announced yesterday. We are planning to do it in a way so that there is least inconvenience to the people. If you notice the timing, 12 to 3 is the lowest traffic time. So the idea is not to battle the other people of India. The idea is to make the government see that we are very determined to achieve what we believe are just rights for farmers. And in that, we will continue with civil disobedience in whatever way that causes least inconvenience to the people of this country.
Prakash Chandra Sharma, your response?
See, Gargi, one thing is very clear. Yes, we are through this dharna and pradarsan. The government has a long this background of the country, the history of the country. We have seen so many protested. But this is not the way in this particular 21st century, the way they are doing. The government, the particular Delhi police has given them the identified place. If they have a power, they should go. They should not do this kind of things. That is not acceptable. Otherwise, apart from that, he is talking about the monarchy. Because see, because they people, the so-called Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, why I am saying so-called? Because in India, more than 800 farmer associations are there. So they are also, the most of them and many large number of them, they are also in support of that. Apart from that, yes, they have some disagreement with this particular Kisan bill. So why don't they come to the point to point? What is the harm to them just to talk on a
all right, I'm completely out of time. Avik Saha, one last word from you.
If this is a Kisan bill, it will have to be enacted in consultation with Kisan. Mr. Modi cannot call it a Kisan bill and tell the Kisan that they have to accept it because he has made it. That's not the way democracy works. Stakeholder consultation is required, which has not happened in this case, and therefore these bills have to be repealed. And that's the demand, and we will continue persevere in peaceful protest till that objective is achieved.
And when are you going to have more talks? Any indication on that?
Waiting for the government.
All right, well, we'll have to leave it there, waiting for the government. The Kisan leaders say they're willing to talk with the government, meanwhile raising questions about the kind of measures taken in Delhi to contain the protests and the protest sites. As you can see those visuals there, there's spikes in the roads, there are small walls of cement that have been put up as well, and the police are out in full force. Well, with that, time for us to slip into a short break. We'll return with more. Welcome back. Now on the issue of the union budget and farmers, in an incentive to the farming community, the government announced an increase in agriculture credit, a target to 16.5 lakh crore in this coming financial year. The finance minister also gave an assurance that the procurement of produce by the government under the minimum support price will continue at a steady pace.
A digital budget with a big focus on farmers, but which several protesting farmers couldn't track because the government shut down the mobile internet.
In her budget speech, the Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman did address the protesting farmers when she especially mentioned that how the government has spent over 75,000 crores in the wheat procurement last year, a crop which is generally grown by the protesting farmers.
अगर किसी किसान के मन में प्रश्न है तो एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्टर उनके साथ बैठ करके बात करने में कभी भी संकोच नहीं किया। चर्चा करने के लिए सरकार ओपन है। और कल परसों पार्लियामेंट के शुरुआत से पहले प्रधानमंत्री जी वो जो ऑफर है उसको टेबल पर अभी भी है करके माना।
Thousands attended this Kisan Mahapanchayat in Bijnor in support of the Delhi protest, the fourth in the last 5 days. Organized by the Bharatiya Kisan Union with active support from the opposition, Ajit Singh's RLD. The big push to farm protests from this region, a worry for the BJP with just a year to go for assembly polls.
जैसे कि आज एक जन सैलाब है, तो आप इस बारे में क्या कहना चाहेंगे और क्या इसके लिए संदेश देना चाहेंगे?
आक्रोश है किसान, जिस तरीके से एक षड्यंत्र के तौर पर किसान आंदोलन को बदनाम करके।
Budget speech, the finance minister said her government remained committed to doubling farmers' income by 2022. The target for loans to farmers or agricultural credit for 2021-22 was being enhanced from last year's 15 lakh crores to 16.5 lakh crores this year, an increase of 10%. The funds for micro-irrigation crucial to small farmers have been doubled to 10,000 crore from 5,000 crore. But farmers protesting at the Delhi border said they were disappointed as no direct announcement was made about the new farm laws.
In reality, the budget for agriculture and allied activities has been slashed from 1.54 lakh crore rupees to 1.48 lakh crore rupees. Every single scheme has been reduced. This is a sham. This is such a joke.
हम किसान जितने भी किसान जहाँ के हैं वो नेट पे अपना बजट नहीं देख पा रहे, सब कुछ पर्दे में किया जा रहा है।
बजट देख पाए? नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं देख पाए। क्यों? नेट चल नहीं रहा, कहाँ देखें? हमारे को टीवी नहीं है, कुछ पेपर नहीं, कुछ नहीं है।
However, the finance minister's announcements found support from these farmers in Madhya Pradesh.
एक संतोषजनक सरकार को जवाब देना चाहिए था कि आपको हम सरकारी MSP ये देंगे, इस पे MSP से नीचे अगर खरीदी होती है तो इसके लिए ये कानून है, व्यापारी का लाइसेंस व्यस्त होगा, या जो भी एक किसान को या आपको हम ट्रैक्टर ले रहा हो तो हम आपको 1 लाख की सब्सिडी दे रहे हैं ट्रैक्टर में।
नहीं, बजट अलग विषय है और आंदोलन अलग विषय है। किसानों का वो अपना अधिकार है।
तो आपको लग रहा है कि जो है ठीक है?
नहीं, जो बढ़ा के दिया है वो अच्छी बात है, लेकिन और देना था।
With Mohammad Ghazali, Anurag Dwari, Alok Pandey, Joshua Chin for NDTV.
The finance minister on Monday presented the first budget amid the pandemic, and let's take you through the key takeaways. Health spending has been increased from 94,000 crore to 2.2 lakh crore, and that's a jump of 137%. Agriculture infra cess of 2.5 on petrol, 4 rupees on diesel has been levied, but there will be no change in prices as a result of this, while the agricultural credit target has been enhanced by 10% to 16.5 lakh crores. An allocation to Rural Infra Development Fund is up from 30,000 crores to 40,000 crores. Over 2 lakh crore will be given for the national highways in 4 poll-bound states, and no new income tax or cess, but big changes in EPF tax-free interest and IT return rules. Take a look.
Honorable Speaker, I present the budget for the year 2021-2022. Today, India has 2 vaccines available and has begun medically safeguarding not only her own citizens against COVID-19, but also those of 100 or more countries. It is added comfort to know that 2 or more vaccines are also expected soon.
Flagging signs that the COVID pandemic is easing, the finance minister charted a recovery map. In the current financial year, the government now expects to spend 34.5 lakh crores, or 13% more than it budgeted a year ago. Next year, this is higher still, at 34.8 lakh crores, or 14% more than initial budget estimates for this financial year.
So we have spent, and we have spent.
But where's the money coming from? The fiscal deficit, the gap between spending and revenue, is set to jump to 9.5% of GDP in financial year 2020-21, almost 3 times more than projected.
We have funded this through government borrowings, multilateral borrowings, small saving funds and short-term borrowings. we would need another 80,000 crores, for which we would be approaching the market in these 2 months.
In order to give much needed push to the economy, government plans to spend 34.83 lakh crores. This includes 5.54 lakh crores as capital expenditure, an increase of 34.5% from the last financial year. There is no COVID cess proposed in the budget, but an agriculture infra cess of 2.5 rupees on petrol and 4 rupees on diesel has been levied. Budget made a 19% higher allocation for the country's armed forces to buy new weaponry compared to last year and the highest in the last 15 years. FDI limit in insurance was raised from 49% to 74%. The Prime Minister said that the budget speaks of all-round development.
आज के बजट में आत्मनिर्भरता का विजन भी है और हर नागरिक, हर वर्ग का समावेश भी है। भारत कोरोना की लड़ाई में रिएक्टिव होने के स्थान पर हमेशा ही प्रोएक्टिव रहा है। चाहे वो कोरोना के काल में किए गए रिफॉर्म्स हो या फिर आत्मनिर्भर भारत का संकल्प, इसी प्रोएक्टिवनेस को बढ़ाते हुए आज के बजट में भी रिएक्टिव का नामो निशान नहीं है।
The opposition was quick to react. A veteran of many budgets, Congress leader P. Chidambaram said that the budget was a letdown like never before.
She deceived those who were listening to her speech, especially the members of parliament, who had no clue that she had imposed cesses on a large number of products, including petroleum and diesel. It was a vengeful act against the thousands of farmers who took out the longest tractor rally in history. It was also a cruel blow to federalism because states do not get a share of the revenue from cesses.
I think this budget has done a phenomenal amount of spending in the area of healthcare, infrastructure, cleaning up of the financial sector, and a whole host of areas where money will be spent. We have taken a call to run with a higher fiscal deficit, but ensure that growth happens.
Government claims that despite COVID pandemic, it kept working towards strategic privatization goal. It has set an estimated target of 1,75,000 crores as receipts from privatization of PSUs. Government also plans to bring IPO of LIC in this financial year. An NDTV Bureau report.
The government led by the Prime Minister.
Now, one of the pillars of the budget, according to the Finance Minister, was health and well-being. The Minister proposed more than doubling the healthcare spending to 2.2 lakh crore. Out of this, an amount of 35,000 crore has been allocated for developing COVID vaccines.
I now move to talking about the first pillar, health and well-being.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced a 137% increase in central health outlay from 94,000 crores last year to nearly 2,24,000 crores. This includes 35,000 crores for COVID vaccination plus almost 64,200 crores spread over 6 years for a new Pradhan Mantri Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana to develop health infrastructure across the country. India has traditionally spent no more than 1.6% of its GDP on health, whereas developed countries spend 8 to 10%. This year, India has more than doubled its spending.
It also shows
the WHO welcomed the commitment shown by India to build stronger health systems.
The focus on health in India's budget 2021 is testimony to India's commitment to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, and not only that, it also shows India's commitment to build stronger health systems. Right from the beginning, India has been very proactively handling and responding to the pandemic.
We shall commit more. Taking a holistic approach to health, we focus on...
The Finance Minister has announced not just strengthening of health institutional framework, but a more holistic approach including nutrition, safe water and sanitation. 4 national institutes of virology to be set up, absolutely key in the battle against viruses, critical healthcare facilities to be set up in 62 districts, Mission Poshan 2.0 to be launched. Pneumococcal vaccines to avert 50,000 child deaths annually, 2.87 lakh crores for Urban Jal Jeevan Mission, 2,217 crores for 42 urban centers with 10 lakh plus population, Urban Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0 outlay rupees 1.48 trillion over 5 years.
The healthcare is the most important aspect of a country. You're only as strong as your healthcare is. And we were waiting with bated breath to see what the finance minister was going to have for us in the healthcare. And very honestly, under the circumstances, it's a great budget.
Health is a state subject, but with the pandemic exposing the gaps in India's healthcare, where in fact states were forced to set up makeshift COVID care centers, and there was a real scare about oxygen and bed supply. The centre has now set up a dedicated Atmanirbhar fund that will strengthen the primary, secondary and tertiary health network and also surveillance systems. With Sonakshi in Bengaluru, in Hyderabad, with camera person Nagraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
And let's take a look at how the budget impacts you. What's likely to get costlier for mobile phone and chargers, which will get costlier, while gold and silver and leather goods are expected to get cheaper.
Some relief for India's senior citizens, those who are above 75 and whose only income is their pension and interest from savings, will no longer have to file income tax returns.
We shall reduce compliance burden on our senior citizens who are 75 years of age and above. For senior citizens who only have pension and interest income, I propose exemption from filing their income tax returns. The paying bank will deduct the necessary tax on their income.
However, what has remained largely unaddressed are the problems of middle-class India, hard hit by salary cuts or job losses, no tax cuts or incentives.
हम लोग को मतलब इस बजट से एक्सपेक्टेशन थे कि थोड़ा कुछ सैलरीड बढ़े, कुछ ऐसा हो जाए, अच्छा हो जाए, क्योंकि देखो ये कोरोना में स्कूल के सब ऑनलाइन क्लासेस थे. ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में आपको टैब, कंप्यूटर और लैपटॉप की ज़रूरत थी. उसका रेट तो अभी उल्टा बढ़ा दिया, उल्टा कम करना चाहिए था.
When there is no income and we have to pay tax for what? So from where we will give those kind of taxes?
In the budget, there has been no change in income tax slabs. There is exemption from filing returns for pensioners who are 75 years old and above. The time limit for reopening an IT assessment has been reduced from 6 years to 3 years. The existing tax slabs are to continue, and on Provident Fund contribution, there is no exemption on interest income for contribution above 2.5 lakh rupees.
Somebody who puts 1 crore into this fund each month, what should be his salary? So for him to give both tax concession and also an assured 8% return, we thought is probably not comparable with an employee with about 2 lakhs who puts that money, gets tax concession and also gets 8% return.
Common man had more hopes from this budget, especially after many faced job cuts and salary cuts last year. So if there was a tax relief, then there would have been more money in their hands and consumer spending would have gone up too. In Mumbai with camera person Praveen Rohit, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
And the finance minister also announced special infrastructure projects for pole-bound states of Assam, West Bengal, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. A whopping 1.03 lakh crore has been set aside for Tamil Nadu. Kerala has been earmarked for 65,000 crore, Assam 34,000 crore and Bengal 25,000 crores.
With 4 states set to vote in assembly polls this March-April, the budget had a clear political focus.
I present the budget for the year 2021-2022.
Bengal got 25,000 crore rupees for 675 kilometers of road. The Trinamool laughed it off. The Bengal government built over 80,000 kilometers of rural roads and over 5,000 kilometers of state highways in less than 10 years in power. It said, "No poll politics in the budget, please," said BJP.
बंगाल में रोड बनाएगा चुनाव का टाइम में বাংলায় নাকি রাস্তা বানাবে বাংলায় রাস্তা দেখাচ্ছে বাংলায় রাস্তা বানানোর দরকার নেই যাও কি কৃষকরা বসে আছে এই টাকাটা কৃষকদের দাও যাও ওই বিল উইথড্র করে নিয়ে বাংলায় রোড আমরা বানিয়ে নেব ইলেকশনের সময় এই রাজনীতি করবে না
Out of the 5 states going to poll,
the maximum chance of BJP forming a government is in West Bengal, then in that case, BJP should have done the reverse. If we were as focused on votes as they are, we should have done a reverse allocation.
Tamil Nadu, where the BJP and the AIADMK have joined hands for the upcoming polls, that state got the lion's share of budgetary allocation among poll-bound states, over 1 lakh crore rupees for roads and over 60,000 crore rupees for the Chennai Metro Rail. Kerala, 65,000 crore for roads and almost 2,000 crore for the Kochi Metro, and Assam 34,000 crore for 1,300 kilometers of road in the next 3 years.
The voters are not fools, as I said. They know that these are outlays, and these outlays will not be backed by any money in this budget. I challenge the government to show me one line entry in the expenditure budget providing 1 rupee for these programs. It will not be there.
Central government has collected a large amount as petroleum cess from Kerala. Only a part of that was invested in Kerala. So it is a long overdue for Kerala.
In an election year, the budget is a huge opportunity for the ruling party at the centre to reach out to voters in states. But if Bengal is the biggest prize the BJP is eyeing, then it hasn't quite put its money where its mouth is. With Bureau Input, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
And let's take a look at how the stock market reacted to the union budget. The Sensex surged over 2,300 points on budget day, while the Bank Nifty hit a record high.
The markets jumped nearly 5%. That's the highest ever percentage gain on a budget day since Chidambaram's dream budget of 1997. So just what led to the gains? First, I will tell you the Sensex surged over 5% and zoomed over 2,300 points to close at 48,600. And the Nifty surged over 4%, gained over 600 points to close above the 14,000 mark. So just what are the markets really celebrating? Experts believe the markets had factored in a one-time COVID cess for corporates or the high-income bracket, as well as some bad news on the taxation front, but no bad news got investors excited and sent markets on a joyride. Experts also feel the clear infrastructure push of 5.54 lakh crores and the capital expenditure compared to 4.3 lakh crores earlier will boost growth and employment in the economy. They also feel the clear roadmap for privatization and the push towards affordable housing on expected lines boosted the momentum further. However, the government's decision to set up a bad bank and infuse 20,000 crores into the public sector banks led the Bank Nifty to hit a record high and zoom over 8%. Lastly, the process for a scrappage policy for the auto sector has been welcomed by the industry as they feel this will encourage demand for newer, less polluting vehicles. Auto stocks cheered the scrappage policy announcement, and as you can see, Maruti, Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, all stocks surged higher.
ये जो scrapping policy हुई है, इसमें 51 लाख लाइट मोटर व्हीकल जो है जो 20 साल से पुराने हैं, ये स्क्रैप हो जाएंगे. तो जो गाड़ी स्क्रैप करेगा वो नहीं लेने वाला ही है.
One good highlight in this budget for me, and that was the very sharp increase in healthcare spends, by 137% for this fiscal to 223,000 crores, and I guess 35,000 crores of this is only related to COVID vaccines.
So what's the way forward? Some believe there could be a reality check in the days to come for the markets when experts study the fine print of the budget in detail.
In other news, the official Twitter accounts of the Caravan magazine, the CEO of Prasar Bharati, as well as that of the Kisan Ekta Morcha, the farmers' body that's been organizing protests against the farm laws in Delhi, were among the many Twitter accounts that were withheld in India for a few hours. The other Twitter accounts withheld included those of the CPM Puducherry wing, a writer, blogger and socio-political activist Hansraj Meena, CPI leader Mohammad Salim, actor Sushant Singh, activist Sanjukta Basu, among others. In fact, over 250 accounts. When accessed, the Twitter profiles merely said the account has been withheld in India in response to a legal demand. Twitter issued a statement saying that this action is usually taken following a properly scoped request from an authorized entity. Many of the accounts were, however, restored after much outrage in India over their blocking. Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rawat. Our top story: barely a week after the violence in the national capital on India's 72nd Republic Day, a section of protesting farmers on Monday have now given a call for a nationwide agitation on the 6th of February. This comes even as thousands of farmers are protesting against the three contentious farm laws at the borders of Delhi for more than 2 months now. And meanwhile, at the three main protest sites of Singhu, Ghazipur and Tikri, the Delhi police took several steps to restrict the movement of protesters. Concertina wires sandwiched between 4 layers of yellow barricades, low cement walls. As you can see, a big turnout of police, buses and trucks parked crisscross fashion, and even nails have been put into the roads, this at the Tikri border. The road blockages even caused major traffic jams in parts of the city and led to much anger. Well, let's go across to NDTV's Akshay, who joins us from the Ghazipur border, that's the border between Delhi and UP, and to Arun, who joins us from the Singhu border, which is the border between Delhi and Haryana. Well, Akshay, first to you, what is the situation this morning? And it led to a lot of, surprise and outrage on social media and of course in Delhi, given, the kind of traffic we saw yesterday, the kind of security that has been put up around these protest sites.
Well, Gargi, as far as the protest sites are concerned, as we have seen that in the past few days, there have been a slew of extreme measures that have been put in place by the law enforcement agencies, the government and the administration. As far as the Ghazipur border is concerned, the Singhu border is concerned, I had to in fact walk some kilometers away from that protest site because there is no internet connectivity at all there, which is also leading to a lot of confusion as far as the protesters are concerned. As far as the measures are concerned, there have been barbed wires, there have been cement that has been poured between the concrete blocks that are there to stop the farmers from moving inside the national capital. But one of the most disturbing things was to see that there have been nails that have been put on the roads, iron nails, to stop any kind of tractor movement inside the national capital again. As far as the farmers are concerned, they also are very, very angry with the slew of measures, stating that they are being caged at the protest site. And earlier, when there was a liberty for the farmers to move inside the national capital on foot, they used to come inside, they used to buy ration for their langars, but now they are not allowed to cross into the national capital even on foot. So all of these measures have led to much chaos and confusion among the farmers. They are stating that they are only going to intensify their protest further. As far as the farm leaders are concerned, they yesterday were also very, very disappointed that internet connectivity did not resume, especially at a time when budget was informed. The farmers were in fact waiting for a budget to see that what kind of measures the government are implementing or bringing in for the welfare of the farmers, but they could not even watch the budget speech because there was no internet at all. So all of these measures are in fact very, very extreme, and the farmers are left with certain questions that what exactly is happening and why is the government bringing in such extreme measures while the protest has largely been peaceful for more than 2 months now.
All right, Akshay. So again, the farmers upset over the internet also being cut. That is another measure that has been taken. And as you can see, strict security in place. And Akshay telling us that farmers aren't even allowed to move into Delhi, even on foot. Arun, what is the situation at the Singhu border? All right, we seem to have lost the audio there with Arun. We'll just try and re-establish it. But there you can see the kind of security that's been put in place. Also, there was a fog this morning in the national capital region. So a lot of security put in place around all the protest sites around Delhi. That's the main protest sites, that Ghazipur, Tikri and Singhu border. Let's go back to Arun for more. Arun, what is the situation there?
Gargi, the sentiment is almost same here at Singhu border as well, because people are, or protesters here are furious over a makeshift wall that has been made here at Singhu border as well. Iron rods have been hooked between two barricades, cement has been poured between two barricades, a makeshift wall is being erected. Again, internet services continue to remain suspended here as well, and as per the last order, it will remain suspended till 11 a.m. Today. So that is problem number one, and the second issue is of course of the makeshift wall that has been made here. But this is going to intensify the overall movement. As Akshay also pointed out, there is going to be a chakka jam. But again, tomorrow also there is a very prominent Kisan Mahapanchayat which is going to happen in Jeend of Haryana. One of the prominent Haryana Khabs, Kandela Khab, is going to hold this Kisan Mahapanchayat. So that is one big thing before the chakka jam of Saturday, which we are going to see this week, Gargi.
All right, Arun and Akshay, thanks so much for joining us with those details. And there you can see some of the measures that have been put in place to stop any kind of movement of the farmers, from cement walls to those nails that have been put into the roads. In fact, let's just take a look at this report that was sent by NDTV's Parimal from the Tikri border. Tikri is where those nails were put in yesterday. So barricades in place. Remember, farmer groups have announced that they are going to hold a chakka jam on Saturday. That's going to be over 3 hours on the highway. That too has been announced by the farmers. Also, as our reporters were telling us, mobile internet has been cut in these areas around Tikri, Singhu and the Ghazipur protest site. Ghazipur is at the Delhi UP border protest site, and there is where we've seen a lot of farmers from Uttar Pradesh actually joining in the protest. This was after moves were taken by the administration there to move the protesters from the protest site, and that had led to a tearful video of Rakesh Tikayat, a farmer leader, saying that he will not move there, he will commit suicide, and that led to a resurgence of the farmer protests at the Delhi UP border as well, and farmers joining in from UP and Haryana for the protests, including at Tikri, where several measures have also been taken, including the nails that have been put in to the roads. Welcome back. Now, COVID infections have dipped sharply in the national capital, which was once in a crisis last year, if you remember. And on Monday, Delhi, in fact, reported the least fatalities as well in the last 10 months. Let's go across to Sukirti for more on this. And Sukirti, very, very welcome news for the national capital. Just 3 deaths in 24 hours.
Well, yes, important development for Delhi, because Delhi has seen at least 3 waves of COVID so far. And we've also witnessed those scenarios in mid-June and July, where there was a dearth of even hospital beds, and people had to run from one hospital to another to look for a bed for their COVID patients. So coming from those times to this one now, where we've been seeing daily cases in the range of 150 to 200 and not more than that in the last, if we talk about at least the last 1 week, that's what the range of the daily cases has been. And yesterday, Delhi reported only 3 deaths, which is its lowest in the last 10 months, and also just 32 hospitalizations, which again is its lowest in the last 10 months. This is something that was also tweeted by the Health Minister of Delhi, Mr. Satyendra Jain. However, he added that I would want to send out this message to the public of Delhi that despite the declining numbers, we cannot be negligent in terms of COVID precautions. So on one hand, it is definitely good news for Delhi that the numbers are coming down, the number of deaths, the daily deaths are also coming down, but also the caution needs to continue.
All right, Sukirti, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. So as you can see those numbers there, Delhi has seen COVID infections dip, and also just 3 fatalities were reported in a matter of 24 hours. That's the lowest in the last 10 months. So very welcome developments in the national capital. Well, some budget news now. Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday announced a special infrastructure projects for pole-bound states of Assam, West Bengal, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, while there was a whopping 1.03 lakh crore which was set aside for Tamil Nadu. For Kerala, it was 65,000 crore, Assam 34,000 crore and for West Bengal 25,000 crore.
With 4 states set to vote in assembly polls this March-April, the budget had a clear political focus.
I present the budget for the year 2021-2022.
Bengal got 25,000 crore rupees for 675 kilometers of road. The Trinamool laughed it off. The Bengal government built over 80,000 kilometers of rural roads and over 5,000 kilometers of state highways in less than 10 years in power. It said, "No poll politics in the budget, please," said BJP.
बंगाल में रोड बनाएगा चुनाव का टाइम में বাংলায় নাকি রাস্তা বানাবে বাংলায় রাস্তা দেখাচ্ছে বাংলায় রাস্তা বানানোর দরকার নেই যাও কি কৃষকরা বসে আছে এই টাকাটা কৃষকদের দাও যাও ওই বিল উইথড্র করে নিয়ে বাংলায় রোড আমরা বানিয়ে নেব ইলেকশনের সময় এই রাজনীতি করবে না
Out of the 5 states going to poll, the maximum chance of BJP forming a government is in West Bengal. Then in that case, BJP should have done the reverse. If we were as focused on votes as they are, we should have done a reverse allocation.
Tamil Nadu, where the BJP and the AIADMK have joined hands for the upcoming polls, that state got the lion's share of budgetary allocation among poll-bound states, over 1 lakh crore rupees for roads and over 60,000 crore rupees for the Chennai Metro Rail. Kerala, 65,000 crore for roads and almost 2,000 crore for the Kochi Metro, and Assam 34,000 crore for 1,300 kilometers of road in the next 3 years.
The voters are not fools, as I said. They know that these are outlays, and these outlays will not be backed by any money in this budget. I challenge the government to show me one line entry in the expenditure budget providing 1 rupee for these programs. It will not be there.
Central government has collected a large amount as petroleum cess from Kerala. Only a part of that was invested in Kerala. So it is a long overdue for Kerala.
In an election year, the budget is a huge opportunity for the ruling party at the centre to reach out to voters in states. But if Bengal is the biggest prize the BJP is eyeing, then it hasn't quite put its money where its mouth is. With Bureau Input, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Now, the Tamil Nadu Assembly session begins today with the customary governor's address, and this would be the last session before the state goes in for polls, and there would be just a vote on account in this session. Now, while the ruling AIADMK would highlight its achievements, the opposition is likely to take on what it calls the government's failures, including support to the new farm laws and the governor's delay in responding to the 2018 cabinet decision to release all 7 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. Let's go across to Sam Daniel now for more. Sam, give us more details on what's expected.
Well, all eyes will be on the governor's address, Gargi, whether he would respond to the Tamil Nadu government's decision to release all the 7 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. The cabinet decided in 2018, and recently the Supreme Court was quite disappointed about the delay by the governor in taking a call either way on the cabinet decision. It's a huge political issue in Tamil Nadu, political unanimity among all parties to release these convicts who have been behind bars for nearly 30 years. And Jayalalitha announced this earlier before the last assembly elections, but it went to the court back and forth. And now the governor is ultimately to take a call, and we'll have to wait and watch whether there will be any word on that in the address. But the opposition, of course, it's training its gun to take on the government on what it calls its lapses over the corona containment over the last close to 1 year. and also taking on the government on its support to the farm laws which farmers oppose. And interestingly, it's with AIADMK's support in the upper house, the BJP had passed the bill and made this into a law, and the DMK-led opposition is targeting the AIADMK on this score, that it was primarily responsible for bringing about this law. But on the other hand, the ruling AIADMK is likely to showcase its achievements through the governor's address, right from the way it contained corona over the last nearly 1 year, from a state being one of the leading in terms of corona to a state with a very low positive rate, and also in containing the casualty figure in the state and various other issues. And it's going to be a huge interesting election ahead now, with the AIADMK trying for a third term and the DMK out of power for almost 10 years, trying to capture power in the state. Karki.
All right, Sam, thanks so much for joining us with those details. Twitter blocked access to accounts associated with farmers protesting against the government on Monday in a localized blackout of some 250 accounts and tweets. The blocks, which only applied for viewers based in India, came after the Indian government hit Twitter with a legal demand. After the blockages drew widespread condemnation online, Twitter said it had unblocked the accounts late on Monday. Now, the official Twitter accounts of the Caravan magazine, even the CEO of Prasar Bharati, as well as that of the Kisan Ekta Morcha, that's the farmers' body that has been organizing the protests against the farm laws in Delhi, were among the many Twitter accounts that were withheld. The other Twitter accounts withheld included those of CPM's Puducherry wing, writer, blogger and socio-political activist Hansraj Meena, CPI leader Mohammad Salim, actor Sushant Singh, who's been active in the farmers' protests, also activist Sanjukta Basu, among others. Twitter issued a statement saying this action is usually taken following a properly scoped request from an authorized entity. Many of the accounts, as we said, were later restored late on Monday night. Well, to talk more about this, we're joined by Ashutosh, a senior journalist and author, Abhik Datta, cybersecurity expert, and Jitin Jain, digital investigation expert. Ashutosh, first to you, what is your response to what we saw yesterday? And in the past couple of days, we've also seen FIRs against journalists for their tweets. And now you had this blocking of these over 250 accounts yesterday.
See, it smacks up two things. First of all, that the very intolerant government at the center. Intolerant for the simple reason because government has not specified what is the reason that these the farmers' account has been withheld. And this shows that the government has written, and on the pressure of the government, Twitter has succumbed. So second point is that the Twitter, which is a platform which talks about the freedom of expression, and suddenly if it decides to block those accounts, then it shows that the Twitter is also under pressure. See, I asked a simple question: has Twitter banned the Twitter account of during the Black Lives Matter? No, I don't think so. It has happened over there. And Black Lives Matter was not only was more violent in that sense, because there are more cases of the violence. But in this, the farmers' movement, there's hardly any violence, and the violence which was shown and done, it was by some political party which sponsored those violence at the Singhu border. So two things: one, very clear that the government is very hell bent to crush this farmers' movement, and they have used Twitter, and Twitter has succumbed to that.
But do they really have a choice? Abhik Datta, your view on this when the government approaches Twitter, and they have given a reason. They said that the tweets by this, especially talking about farmers' genocide, is something that could cause more problems. So does Twitter really have a choice when faced with this request by the government?
Well, I think it's purely up to the policies of the company. I think they've mentioned clearly that it depends on the regional policies, and in their policy, if they get a request from a government agency that there's something wrong, they're supposed to withhold the account, and if you see later in the night, the accounts were all resumed. So I really don't see an issue with that. They blocked based on the government's request, and they were later resumed while they looked at the data.
No, but isn't this viewed as some sort of censoring? And we've been shown now that such accounts can be blocked should the government so choose to do so, and they can approach Twitter and say that block these accounts. Yes, those were accounts, as we said, which talked about genocide of farmers. So in that sense, they were quite outrageous, as that's what the government felt, and that's why this decision to block them and asking Twitter.
But I think at the end of the day, Twitter has to rely on an agency, and in India, I mean, Government of India is the highest agency which which has the authority to reach out to them and say this is something which they feel is wrong. And if you see later in the day, they sat and they looked at the tweets and they found there was nothing wrong probably, and they resumed the account. So I think that's what has happened. Eventually, they would depend on some governing agency who would look at Twitter and say, you know, I feel something is wrong. Can you take an action?
Right. Jitin Jain, your view of this, and this, you know, we're in this space of what can be called censorship, what can be called also, you know, outrageous opinions being put out on the social media, and a lot of talk has been there of how the social media giants also need to perhaps do more to shut down such, you know, views, etc., which talk about, you know, which bring out bigoted views, which might encourage violence. But what happened in India yesterday, many are talking about censoring the media now.
Look, Gargi, it is like this. You have to look at the incidents of last couple of years. During the anti-CEA protest, during Delhi riots, and it is there for, you know, in the report of many law enforcement agencies and then statements of many politicians in the parliament, that there were thousands of, you know, fake accounts on Twitter which were being operated by ISPR in Pakistan, basically to create deep religious divisions in India. Now, even in the farmer protests, you see, the majority of the content which is calling for, you know, Khalistan or, you know, defaming farmers is the content which is being orchestrated by ISPR, which is the Inter-Services Public Relations Propaganda Agency from Pakistan, to ensure that they defame and discredit the farmer protest by bringing in this angle of Khalistan, and sadly our right wing has fallen for it. So, you know, somewhere down the line, see, there are lakhs of people who are talking about farmer protests. I myself have gone to a site and I have, you know, posted in the favor that do not disrespect our farmers even if we disagree with them. Now, the problem is this hashtags like PM wanting genocide or Modi wanting genocide, calling for genocide is absolutely uncalled for in any democracy. And most of these accounts were being...
So they didn't actually call for genocide. They were warning of a genocide. And I would even say that after Republic Day and the violence that took place, there were even some tweets that said, repeat 1984, which I thought was absolutely outrageous.
Yes, so that is why, you know, there are lakhs of people like us who are supporting farmers. Our accounts are not taken down. It is specifically a set of accounts which were trying to trend the hashtag of genocide thing and incite people were taken down. Now, what has happened in that process? It is not a request from the government. It is a lawful order under Section 69 of IT Act. It is a written order which Twitter is supposed to comply. Otherwise, they will be booked. So Twitter had no choice. Second, in that process where Twitter was processing that request in emergency, many of the accounts will simply reply to that tweet, maybe even disagreeing with them, or like Prasar Bharati CEO or Karma Magazine and all. They all got suspended, which was wrong. I think that is why Twitter has restored those accounts, and only those accounts which are trying to incite the violence have been suspended. Now, Twitter is doing this across the world. This is what they did during Hang Mike Pence hashtag, which was trending in US or US insurrection. Now, I think going forward, Twitter has, and Jack Dorsey is on record to say this, going forward, anybody who's trying to incite violence and, you know, sort of this genocide or killings on Twitter would not have a place in the terms of free speech. Now, the bigger question is, what if tomorrow Twitter or Facebook starts taking down account themselves to censor political speech? What if they try to influence politicians or trying to take side with one government or one opposition party? Then what do we do? Can we control this big tech? Do we have any law or regulatory mechanism where we can decide that what should be censored and what should not be censored? What if Twitter had refused to follow the order yesterday? What if Twitter decides to take down 1,000 additional accounts of journalists in India tomorrow? So there is a huge power these big techs are wielding today, which is uncontrollable. Imagine they could we could disagree with Donald Trump, but the hard reality is that Twitter was so powerful that they took down the account of a sitting US president, and sitting US president for 13 days could not do anything about it. And this is in a situation when there was no request from law enforcement agencies or judicial order in US asking Twitter to do so. They acted on their own. So
but it came after what happened at Capitol Hill, and he was the outgoing president at that time. But Ashutosh, you come in here, a tightrope walk for these giants, and it was the government, it was the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology that asked for these accounts to be blocked. Then, of course, after a few hours, Twitter itself unblocked these accounts.
See, we all patted in the back of the Twitter when the Twitter has blocked American President Donald Trump. But don't forget that Donald Trump has incited violence and they have provoked their supporters to attack on the Capitol Hill. Second point is that Donald Trump was somebody who was not the president going to be president for a very long time. He was just to be president for another 2 weeks. So it was easy for the Twitter to block his account and get all kinds of things. See, my worry is not about the Twitter. My worry is about the government. The government, if today the government decides that my account or your account or anybody's account should be suspended, and if the Twitter is not acting on that, in that case, the action will be taken against the Twitter. So that means it gives a very repressive power in the hands of the government. In that context, I'm saying it is up to the Twitter to find out before complying with any order of the government whether the request made is legitimate, legal, or it is for other purposes. They could have verified before blocking any account. You are blocking the Caravan magazine's account. For what reasons? Do you think that the Caravan is indulging with violence? Do you think Caravan will be provoking people for genocide? This is rubbish. This is ridiculous. And if the Twitter is succumbing to such pressures, that means Twitter or any social media platforms, they are vulnerable to the government pressures. And everybody knows that India commands 130 crore population. So it's a huge market for all of them. And because of that market, if tomorrow they decide to shut or block all the media channels' accounts, what will you do? So it is up to the Twitter to withstand the pressure.
Right. What was interesting was that the CEO of Prasar Bharati, his account also got blocked. But Jitin Jain, going forward, this is something I think is very tricky. You know, everybody is just figuring it out, even for these digital giants, even for governments, and of course a lot of outrage when any journalist or any journalistic organization is blocked.
Look, even during the elections, these companies have signed a voluntary code of ethics where they say that anything coming to our notice or, anything government or election commission informing which is, influencing the democratic process, they might take down.
All right, sorry to interrupt you there. We're going to have to go across to the Rajya Sabha where ruckus is taking place over the farm bills. Let's just listen in.
Please. Please. This is not going to go on record. Please. Next to 1 hour हो गया था. 1 hour के बाद कितने बजे? ये तो नारेबाजी नहीं चलेगा. You also know that. I need not say. मंत्री जी, Parliament Affairs.
Sir, I would only like to submit, sir. They have given the
Parliament Affairs Minister.
They have given the notice under 267, and you have given the ruling. And after walking out, coming out and disturbing, they themselves were demanding that there should be question over, and government has agreed, and question over is going on. Members are interested in question overs and disturbing like this. Whether they want question over or not, let them place it on record. And from tomorrow, there will be discussion on Rashtrapati's Thanksgiving motion. Even Rashtrapati has mentioned about the farmers.
I understand your concern.
Then our discussion is that they don't want to run the house. They want to disturb. This is not fair. And zero hour also they are not participating. Question hour also they are not participating.
Okay,
it is highly unfair.
I once again appeal to all of you, please go to your seats. Allow the house to function. Question hour is very important. Some of you said last time, not having question hour is murder of democracy. This is the statement made outside. Please understand. The house is adjourned to meet at 10:30.
All right, so the Rajya Sabha there adjourned after ruckus. As you could see, slogans were being raised and multiple adjournment notices were also submitted to the Rajya Sabha asking for a repeal of the 3 farm laws. In fact, Congress, CPM, DMK and Trinamool all wanting a discussion on the farm laws. With that, time for us to slip into a short break. We'll get you more updates on the other side.